is PopimpressKA Journal, and we're here with Melanie Siben, and she's the one who was the organizer and original creator of Media for Humanity. And it's a very serious organization that is involved with human trafficking and covers all aspects of a very serious problem that we are facing in our society today. Melanie, it's wonderful to have you today.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
I am very honored that you decided to have us interview you and actually cover very serious aspects that society is facing today. Could you please tell me a little bit about your background, where you're coming from, what brought you to do this important cause in life?
Sure. My background, I used to be a journalist. I was a television reporter. And when I was on a CNN assignment in Bangladesh, this is about 13, 14 years ago, I actually witnessed human trafficking myself, and I didn't know that people were being bought and sold in today's day and age. So I came back to the States. I was only there for a few weeks, and my friends in the media and myself, we started Media for Humanity, but we didn't really have a focus. We were just helping kids, but a couple of years later I found out it was happening in the States. Children were being bought and sold, and I decided, and my colleagues, we decided that we have to focus on this issue. So in about 2003, we started the issue, or we started covering just this issue, and we had fundraisers, and we had several events just to bring awareness to this issue of children in America being bought and sold.
Now, what do you think is the situation that we're facing now today? Why do you think in America, in such a strong country that we're living in, this problem is growing up so much? Because even though America has an awareness, still having such a big issues.
You'd think. Well, first of all, there is more awareness now than there was when we started. That was the issue in 2000. So in the past 10 years, definitely people in America are becoming more educated. That it's not just happening in Africa, in Asia, it's happening right here in America. And in the past couple of years, people are now realizing something even more important, that it's not just immigrant children and immigrants who are being affected by trafficking. More than 80% of all victims of trafficking are United States citizens. And that still blows my mind. 80% of kids that are victimized are our own kids, are U.S. citizens.
And it's like there were statistics showing that 3,500 women and girls are working as sex slaves. That's a statistic.
It's an estimate. It's an estimate. It's probably more than that, in my opinion. And a lot of people have been telling me that in my past, that they say, in the past few years, they've said, you know, you're a little alarmist about this issue. It doesn't happen so much. Where are these children? Where are they being enslaved? But more and more, we're finding out. The FBI, just a few weeks ago, did a wonderful thing. They actually rescued 105 children who are being trafficked. And most of these are young girls, a few boys too.
What are the age of them usually?
You know, I don't know the age of those children, but we're talking anywhere from 5 years old, even younger. But most children get into trafficking or get into prostitution at the age of 12, 13 years old. And once you get in, you can't get out so easily.
And now I know your organization involves so much to help them to recover and get their life back. Now, what kind of programs do you do, and how do you encourage those girls and boys to get back on track? Because after the trauma that they had, it's completely impossible to view the world in a normal way, as you say, like 12-year-olds would do, being raised in a normal, good family.
Well, our organization does not work directly with those who have been trafficked. I mean, we will get their stories. We will share their stories with the public. I just interviewed a very brave woman recently who was trafficked as a child. She's now 35, and she is now speaking to other people and warning them about what happens. So in that sense, we are helping victims share their stories. Helps them recover as well. We primarily do what's called a Get Real approach.
Okay.
It's Get Real, R-E-A-L,
Mm-hmm.
Rescue, Empowerment, Awareness, and Legislation. So we're building on our rescue efforts now, working with the police right now. We're going into communities where there are potential victims and telling the police, oh, it could be happening here in this area. This is what we've heard. And then our empowerment, we've done lots of empowerment programs for kids, everything from literacy days at schools to learning how to make jewelry to empower a woman, how she's making her feel like she's worth something. So we have her work with real stones and real gems as opposed to fake things. And we also have our awareness program. We had a fantastic event in 2005 at the Harvard Club in New York, and it was the first international conference on child trafficking going on in America. Curtis Flewa, the one with the red beret, the founder of the Guardian Angels, he was our moderator. We had some incredible people fly in who received awards for their work, and also we had some survivors from Peru who were trafficked by their cousins to live in Long Island for 2 years, living in a basement, making garments. And that goes to show the world, too, it's not just sex slavery. It is all kinds of slavery, working in a basement making dresses to working in a field in upstate New York, picking fruit and in slave conditions.
And you would think this kind of things do not exist in today's society.
No, and they still do. And then I forgot to tell you that the last part of our four-pronged approach is legislation, R-E-A-L. We've been actively getting involved in going to Capitol Hill. My interns go every semester now. Last group of interns went about 3 weeks ago and went to D.C. to lobby our congresspeople and our senators. And there are 9 of them, and they are fabulous. These are graduate students and undergraduates from around the country. A lot of Ivy League kids who are becoming junior abolitionists.
That's amazing.
It really is amazing, and they're going to change. They're going to change the world, especially in this area, letting people know we've got trafficking and changing laws, making it much, how would I say, giving victims their rights and their self-esteem back. And it takes some legislation to do that, giving them opportunities. And it also takes tougher laws against traffickers.
How is it possible for you to make a transition, and who was involved in helping you to achieve that goal?
Of getting to Capitol Hill?
Absolutely.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
We actually have a lot of support now through my family, my friends. We have a big white party every year in Central Park. And
I saw that on your website, yeah.
It's originally my own personal white party, Melanie's white party, and I started it 6.5 years ago. We're going to have our 7th annual. Hopefully you will come.
Absolutely.
And it's beautiful. We've got everyone volunteers because of the important cause this is. And we have signs. Our interns hold up signs. One sign could read, New York, Florida, Texas, and California have the highest rates of trafficking in the nation. Another sign someone else is holding, more than 80% of trafficking victims are U.S. citizens. And there are dancers, there are jugglers, we have fencers. It's very exciting. We even had a snowball fight last year. So the community is getting involved. Anyway, we raise some money, and every year we raise the money to send our interns to Capitol Hill to lobby. We make money to provide any kind of support for our victims that we can. If there are tickets we want to buy for them for a game, or they need something, we want to be able to give them money. Even events like Superstorm Sandy. When we have a storm, storms and devastating natural disasters and national disasters actually create an opportunity for traffickers to exploit children in those neighborhoods.
Absolutely. Disaster came in, and now here they are.
Exactly. And we help every year whenever there is an issue. So we raised some money at a party, and we sent our interns into Staten Island when it happened, and they met people who were victimized were having trouble, and they weren't getting money from the government in time, so we got them what they needed. So that's one thing. But when Katrina hit in New Orleans, we sent people down, put money in the hands of victims who needed it, as opposed to spending it.
That's very important.
Right, because you don't always know where your money goes.
Right.
And I'm very proud to say that we're very efficient with our money. We have very little overhead. We have no salaries. I don't get paid for this. I take no money from this. We get so much volunteer effort behind this, and it's encouraging to us.
And how do you think parents should teach their children or kind of give them guidance in order to prevent this from happening? And what you do is very important because you talk about it, so they know about the situation.
I'm really glad you asked that. Just this summer, we went to, a large number of our volunteers and interns went to Port Authority and Penn Station, and we handed out flyers to parents. Are you a parent? Here, read this, read this. And it was basically the story of a woman in Ohio, and she is now a social worker. But when she was a child, she was lured into someone's home with a Coca-Cola, a neighbor, or she had a crush on this guy. She had a crush on this guy, and he drugged something in her system. Yeah, and next thing she knows, she has been raped by 4 of the neighborhood boys. And they say to her, if you tell anybody, we're going to take all these photos that we've just taken of you having sex with us, and we're going to spread them around the school and tell your family. So for the next few years, what do you think she does? Between going to school, and she has to work for them now. They pimp her around. She is trapped because they have blackmailed this woman, this young girl. She was 15 at the time when this happened. They send her around to parties, and she's turning tricks 10 times a night, and then she's trying to get A's in school. Finally, and with the use of internet and the ease of cell phone pictures, it is just so much easier now to traffic these people, to traffic children. And parents need to be vigilant and watch their children. So I think we educated a lot of parents recently.
So it's probably the feeling that I get is, even if, God forbid, that happened to someone, they should not be afraid. If, for example, they say, I'll post the pictures, they directly should go to the place where they can get help, because the fear of getting published, those pictures, will destroy them, make their life more harmful.
You're exactly right. And you're right. And parents need to teach their children, please, if something like this happens, God forbid, you will tell us, or you'll tell the authorities, because it's worse to submit to that kind of blackmail. And what sets in is called the Stockholm Syndrome. Have you heard of that?
And what is that exactly?
Sure. The Stockholm Syndrome is what basically keeps a captive person in the grips of his captor. You become enamored with with the kidnapper, in a sense. So one of the people on our board, Dr. Alan Manovitz, he's an expert in this, and he talks to our interns and our volunteers that a person could hurt you and rape you and beat you, and now your ego is so low, so suppressed. All of a sudden, he gives you a candy bar. And that small act of kindness is now magnified in your mind, and you become loyal to him. These pedophiles, these traffickers, manipulators, are geniuses in many ways when it comes to
manipulation.
Manipulation, exactly. They're all Machiavellian, and they know what they're doing. Right.
I know you had a very special assignment for United Nations, and you went to Bangladesh, and that was actually a turning point trip for you that inspired you to do this work that you're doing today. Could you tell us about it?
Sure. I was very fortunate to get this assignment. That was about 14 years ago. The UN and through Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation sent me and my crew over to Bangladesh, and it was a health-related story about inoculations and World Health. But there is where I actually saw a woman coming over to me and begging for money. And one of the doctors I was interviewing said, "Oh, don't give her any money." And I said, "Well, why not?" He said, "Because she does not get to keep it. It goes to her, it goes to a gang." And then I learned more about that they have all these people that are maimed and hurt. This was before a Slumdog Millionaire movie came out, so people did not know about this. But I was learning about people being maimed and hurt so they could actually effectively beg for money. So he said, "Don't do this." And then I learned about debt bondage, and so many children and young women were carrying bricks on their heads. I didn't realize they were born into slavery. So that did inspire me.
Now, going towards your background, so on a very bright note, I know you are a very bright, live, and happy person, and you are sharing this with your interns and work that you do. What is the most captivating moment that you lived in your life?
Captivating?
Yes.
Okay, in what way?
In the way that it inspired you to move and live every day with brightness, because I know you're a very positive person, and you love animals, and you have beautiful fish.
I do. You know, that's a very spiritual question of you, because maybe you recognize it. I'm a great believer in God. I always have been, ever since I was a little girl. I really never doubted God's existence. And I feel we are so blessed to have the existence that we do. I'm fed, or I can eat, I can make choices myself. I'm just so grateful as a soul to have this existence. And everyone should have freedom. Everyone should be able to make decisions. There is nothing worse. I've been involved with other charities before. And
now, would you recap us what were the organizations in the past that you work with?
Sure, many kinds. The first organization I got involved when I was a child was American Cancer Society.
How old were you?
I think in junior high school, high school? I can't remember, junior high school. But I've always helped out in charities here and there, and I'm Jewish, and Jewish charities, and just I think anything that I can help other people. And it is very much part of our religion, as it is with other religions as well. We have to give to others. And that, I think that coupled with my journalism background and just my natural appreciation for life inspires me to continue the work that I do.
Now, have you been to Israel?
I have.
Now,
a few times.
What do you think about the city and everything else what's going on over there?
Oh, it's so difficult. Yeah, I love Israel. Even if I weren't Jewish, truthfully, I would be a very big supporter of Israel, because despite all the problems going on, and Israel is far from perfect as far as treatment for
capital spiritualism. I understand there's all religions use that.
Oh, there is. That's why I truly believe Israel should stay strong. I believe this because it is a beacon for democracy. I mean, it's the only place in the Middle East. It's the only country in the Middle East where you can be gay and not get arrested. You can be, you can have any religion and not be arrested. You can be very vocal against the government and not get arrested. It is a true democracy, and there are Muslims, there are Armenians, there's every group that can be represented in the Knesset, in the government. Hello. Not canine. So
now, how do you realize that people are treated, say there per se, the places where you've been in different religions and different backgrounds? What do you think the difference is?
That's interesting. I've been very blessed to travel. I've been to more than 80 countries.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
It is, and by myself also. I've been to countries. I've been to Egypt and Jordan and United Arab Emirates and Pakistan. So I spent a lot of time in Muslim countries. And
you were not afraid to travel by yourself as a woman, per se, that there are a lot of going on there, especially as a journalist. They're like a target, actually.
Well, I went there for fun. A little bit for journalism sometimes, but mostly to get to know the people. And I found that people are people everywhere you go. People are beautiful. Deep down, people are beautiful. And in Muslim society, or Islam, well, people in Muslim society, I think is one of the most hospitable. And I remember their kindness and generosity wherever I went. In Israel, it's interesting. People on the outside can be a little abrasive, but they're known as the Sabra. Prickly on the outside, but when you get to know them, really deep and wonderful and warm and loving on the inside. So there's good and bad in every group. I spent almost 7 months backpacking by myself through Africa. Sometimes I got nervous, but overall people were wonderful. In Asia, I've lived in Asia for actually a few years.
Where were you in Asia?
I lived a little more than a year in Japan, and a little more than a year on Guam, which is American. But
how is Guam, by the way? It's such a small place, and people do not know much about the place.
It's amazing. Yeah, Guam is special. It's like Hawaii, smaller. It's beautiful. I do underwater photography.
Fantastic.
So Guam is a great place to live. Yeah, it was a great place to live. And yes, I do have photos I can show you. It was great. I think, but I always come back to New York. And I always...
That's your home.
This is my home. My family is here. And in New York, as you know, it's a microcosm of the world. Everybody's here. I get to speak. I get to practice my Bangladeshi. I get to practice in the taxis. I get to practice my Korean when I go to a store. I get to practice. I speak a lot of languages now.
How many do you speak?
A little bit of 6.
And what are they?
I do a little bit of English, a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of French, a little bit of Italian, and Japanese.
Mandarin?
And now I'm studying Mandarin.
Because I've heard you talk a little bit.
No, it's such a great thing to be able to speak the language of the people. You just open a whole new world. So,
what is your background as far as your family? How did you grow up? And how was your parents towards you? Did you have brothers and sisters?
I did. I'm the baby of 4 kids.
Oh, wow.
So it's my 2 parents. My father passed away 3 years ago, but he's one of my inspirations to fight for freedom. He fought in World War II, but he was also a football player at Alabama University. And
was he a pro or?
No, so that's college football, but that's one of the best teams. So my mother, though, was an opera singer. So I got my father's athleticism and love for sports with my mother's love for culture and
opera singer is such a beautiful impact, must be, when you were growing up.
It was. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but it really was fantastic. Always having culture in the home and hearing arias and hearing my mother sing. She would do something fabulous, and
she taught you.
Yeah, and I asked her, am I good enough to pursue it? She said, no, you're not. So it's fine, I'm okay.
The parents are sometimes more critical, and they tend to make their children to do what they want to do.
Yes, I do. My mother, typical Jewish mother, a little controlling, but she's amazing. My mother is also an inspiration for me. She's filled with so much love, and she's always thinking about other people and how to help other people. So, and my 3 siblings are pretty terrific too. Very giving and interesting, and they all eat organic, and they love the environment.
Now, how do you feel about the environment, what's going on? Because I know the glaciers are melting. We know the whole situation with global warming, and basically there are a lot of dolphin suicide and birds fall from skies. What do you think about why is it happening, in your opinion?
I definitely feel that we should curb our level of pollution, but we have to be realistic. We're on a planet of 7.2 billion people, and we're growing very quickly, and this is a crucial time to pay attention. However, we cannot be impractical. We have to take care of people, we have to feed people, we have to clothe people, and people will be out of jobs. So personally, I think we should consider fracking. We need to consider things that as an environmentalist we feel we should never do such a thing. If we don't, how are we going to keep people employed? How are we going to keep people fed? I think nothing is very simple. And that's what I learned in all my travels. Simple out there. Everything is complicated.
each country, you feel each country has something or different issue that they have to deal with?
Sure. Apartheid. When I was there, the day Mandela was released. And when I got there, I realized it's not so simple, this issue of apartheid. Of course, as one who believes in freedom and democracy, I believe, well, of course, we should just, everything should have switched right away. But then I have to realize, okay, well, there could be problems for people. People would be hurt, murdered in the streets if you make a quick change, quick revolution.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes things take time. So, but my point being that you learn that life is just not as simple as it could be, or as we want it to be.
Now, how do you think people can find their calling in life? What do you think is important for them to realize? Because everybody is born in different societies, they're born into different families. And since last experience that I experienced with traffic and everything else, the girls that come, good backgrounds and bad backgrounds. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the key factor to maintain your humane side, even though if you had a bad background, and kind of keep on straight? Because people can go up or they can go down.
Mm. Ultimately, we're all about our choices, aren't we?
Yes.
You know, and
certainly.
And maybe you and I are blessed. We can have certain. We didn't grow up in a trailer park, and yet there's some women, or some young women did, and they were abused, possibly, like a woman I spoke to recently. And but ultimately, she got out of that bad situation because she made those decisions to make herself better. And I so appreciate people like her are my heroes.
How do they get their self-esteem back? Because I know it's the hardest thing when they constantly, like you were mentioning, they give them a candy and they already praise them to the highest ground. How do you think girls or boys in that situation can get their self-esteem back? What do you think is the way to do it?
Our self-esteem building programs have been successful because we truly believe you have to rise above any problems or challenges that you have. You have to, if your reading isn't so good, you've spent time working on your literacy level. You must be a strong reader. So don't go out drinking with your friends. Stay home and study. Hang out with good people. Make good choices. If someone intimidates you, you must do your best to communicate this either to your parents or to a community leader. You have to make these decisions, and children need to feel empowered to make them. As far as one thing I believe is getting survivors. I don't like to use the word victims.
Right.
I like to use the word survivor because that's truly what they are. A survivor needs to be vocal, in my opinion. I'm not a psychologist, but if a survivor can talk about it and help and share her or his story with others, it'll empower him. It'll empower her.
Now, who is the hero to you? Who is your hero in your life?
Oh, I have lots of heroes, Olga. I have a lot of heroes. Journalists who do stories like you, bring needed issues, give them attention that they deserve. My parents are both heroes to me. I have people that have come from adversity in some way. There's a journalist I know, one example, his name is Byron Pitts. He was a CBS commentator, and he's still at one of the networks. He, at age 13, learned to read. He was illiterate until he was 13 years old, and he stuttered. He stuttered until he was about 20 years old. Then he goes on to becoming, and he's black, by the way, and he grew up in I guess a relatively poor area of Baltimore. So that's just one of my many heroes who overcome adversity to achieve greatness.
Now, what's the future holds for Melanie?
Ooh, I want to get married. I do. I really want to get married. I think that's something that I've missed out in my life.
Do you believe in marriage?
Very much so.
You do?
I'm very much a believer. I believe in everyone being happy. I personally want to marry a man. I'm very much in favor of gay marriage, though, because I want people to be happy.
With whom they are.
Well, right, and whatever they are. Who are we to judge? So, yes, I do believe in marriage, and God willing, that blessing will come to me one
God
day.
bless. Thank you. Thank you. Now, what are the 3 wishes for you for the future?
My 3 wishes.
Get married.
Get married.
Yes.
Reduce, in my lifetime, reduce slavery and trafficking in not only America but in the world by 25%. That's a very ambitious figure, but I believe in the possibility of it. That's interesting. I never thought about that goal, but yes, that's a practical goal. And then the 3rd wish, of course, world peace.
How do you think government can help to actually help this amazing cause that you're doing and help the interns that are there in Washington, D.C.? What can they do for them? What would you want them to do for them?
Okay.
Because they're there.
Well, funding always helps.
Right.
That's a great thing. But
yes.
Politically, I am not a big believer in government handouts to anyone or anything. I believe in volunteerism. I believe we need to empower the individuals who take their spare time, their free time, and use it to society's benefit. Volunteer for causes. Give 5 hours a week of your time to a charity. So maybe the government needs to promote programs like this. Give 5 hours a week to our charity to tell people to get involved. We need to stay balanced and not go crazy in one direction politically or another environmentally. We need to say, okay, here are some problems, but we must all be responsible citizens and take action. It does me no good to hear somebody is feeding homeless people, but yet throwing his garbage in trash on the streets. We all have to take responsibility for our world. Our government are responsible. And if you're not voting, I don't want to talk to you. Vote. And be involved in the community.
Make a choice.
Exactly, and make a choice. And let all of us be free to make choices.
What is love to you?
It's a great question. I have to start with the Hebrew root for love, if I may. Ahava, and it means to give. And that's the secret to love, from what I'm told. And I think there's something to that. To give brings out love. If I give you, I'm causing love. It's like a parent. That's why a parent naturally loves a child, because that you're just giving, giving, giving. And it's causing you to love that child. So love to me is giving.
That's beautiful. What's your favorite color?
Oh, some days it's yellow and some days it's that teal aqua color, because I love the water.
Beautiful.
So, yeah. How about you? What's your favorite color?
I love blue.
Oh yeah, what kind of blue though? What color?
I love turquoise.
Love that.
Turquoise.
Yeah. So you like the ocean too.
I like the ocean. And what about your favorite food?
That's a good one, because it's called, my favorite food is nama yatsuhashi.
And what is that?
It's a specialty from Kyoto, Japan. And it's a triangular shape. And it's mochi on the outside, like a sweet pressed rice, and anko bean, which is sweet bean, on the inside. And it's a piece of heaven. And when I eat nama yatsuhashi, I don't just open the box and start eating it. I make a whole tea ceremony. I invite some friends over, and we do a little meditation, and then we partake in the nama yatsuhashi, because it's so special.
Beautiful. Now, what's the most interesting country you ever visited?
Most interesting? Madagascar was fascinating. Really, it was so exotic. And I ran out of money. That's scary.
How did that
This
happen?
was a long time ago, too. It's not like you can wire money so fast.
Right.
I know why. They didn't take my Visa card. Or, no. They took only Visa. They did an American Express. They did not take MasterCard. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I am in trouble. And my parents were away. They weren't in the States, so I actually had to spend. But it was all a blessing, because I only intended to spend 1 week in Madagascar. I had to wait for money. So I stayed 3.5 weeks. And because of that, I got to really experience the fabulous people and the colors. It's one of the most beautiful countries I've ever seen. And so I did some diving. It was wonderful.
But no money.
Some people lent me money. And the hotel I was staying in, they also just said, don't worry, you send us money when you have the money. So I came back to the States. They waited several months. And everyone waited, but I paid everybody back.
Now, you are very inspiring, and I feel that you're a very big success story. What would be your encouragement for girls or guys that are growing up and they want to be like you?
Wow, I'm flattered. I don't know if I should be that kind of role model.
But if you were able to involve so many people to do so much with you and for such a great cause, that is ultimate success to me, is being humane and really live and experience the happiness of people in their eyes after you've done something for them.
Well, I'm flattered. Thank you. Our decisions. We have to make good decisions. And appreciation. When you meet someone on an interview, write that boss, a potential boss, a thank you note. That's one of the biggest things I teach my interns is writing thank you notes, expressing appreciation. Being an appreciative human being doesn't just help you get jobs or win prizes. It changes your life. I believe God likes those who are appreciative, and He will He'll send gifts. And the gifts are not always what you think they are, like running out of money in Madagascar. They could be the opportunities that avail themselves because you've smiled your way through those challenges.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah, well, you're a great interviewer. Thank you.
It is awesome.
PopimpressKA journal. I think this is a